few months later, Betty Carter, the late great vocalist, heard me playing a club in Long Island, and long story short, she asked me for my number and asked me to come in to audition for her group, hired me at the audition, and we had been rehearsing for our first show with her, which was going to be in Buffalo, New York. Well, the night before my first gig on the road, playing with the great Betty Carter, I get a phone call from Art's pianist, Johnny O'Neill, who was stranded in Detroit. He said, "Benny, I can't make the gig tonight." The band was playing in a club 4 blocks from my house. And he said, can you play the show tonight? And I said, my heart just started pounding. I said, "Johnny, I want to." I said, "But I have a gig with Betty Carter tomorrow. We're leaving from the airport early in the morning. I need to get my sleep." I said, "It's important." And he said, "Benny, come on. This is what you've always wanted. It's a chance to play with Art." I said, "I know, John." He said, "Well, can you at least call Art and make sure it's okay with him? And then call me back and let me know what he said?" Johnny said, "Sure, Benny, I'll do that." And Johnny called me back a few minutes later. He said, "I talked to Art. He said he'd love to have you. The band starts at 9. Try to get there around 8:30. So I showed up, and Art was on the bandstand setting up his drums. And he saw me, I just kind of froze like a deer in the headlights. I just stood there and looked at him. And Art grinned, and he just motioned to the piano. He said, "It's all yours tonight." So anyway, I played the show with the band. It was so exciting for me. Again, I don't know how well I played, but I certainly knew the music. At the end of the night, Art's wife paid me, and then asked me if I'd like to join the band. And I didn't hesitate for more than about a second and a half when I told her, I said, "This is what I've always wanted, but I can't do it because Betty Carter's hired me to play with her." And Art's wife looked at me kind of dumbfounded, like, who would turn down a gig with the Jazz Messengers? But you know, it was a really good thing. I did the right thing that night. Because here's probably what would have happened if I'd been greedy and dropped the bone that was in my mouth for its reflection in the water when Art's wife offered me the gig. First of all, I wouldn't have lasted in the band because I wasn't as experienced and I wasn't as developed as the other players. Probably Art wanted me just to cover the gigs until Johnny O'Neill could come back. Johnny's a great musician. I would have certainly blown it with Art. He would never have respected me after that. My name would have been mud with Betty Carter. And the grapevine in New York travels so quickly, I would probably just be a laughing stock in town. I wouldn't be here right now. But instead, I ended up playing for 4 years with Betty Carter. She gave me all kinds of incredible training. And then, after the 4 years, I got a chance to play with Art again. And this time, I really wanted to do it. And I called Betty, and we were family at that point, having played together for 4 years. And she said, "Benny, I know this is what you've always wanted. And I'm so happy for you, and I give you my blessing." So it couldn't have gone down better. I got to play both gigs instead of neither one. But anyway, about Art, he basically expected the Jazz Messengers to talk amongst themselves about the music. He didn't like to analyze or intellectualize the music. And in fact, he kind of looked down upon it. If you talked about the music too much, he expected you to think for yourself and get it together. But the Jazz Messengers, so in this case, it would be everyone here in the band other than me, was sort of expected to talk amongst themselves in negotiating the music. I didn't know that when I first joined the band. So one night, in my first tour, I had a moment of insecurity, and I asked some of the other guys in the band, I said, "I'm not quite sure what I should be playing on the Bridge of Moaning while the horns are soloing. What do you think I should play?" And the bassist, I don't know if he was trying to set me up. He said, "You should ask Art." And I mean, I was so naive and I was so innocent. I said, "Yeah?" He said, "Yeah, just go like knock on his door and ask him what he thinks." So I did. After the show that night, we were in Germany, and I knocked on Art's hotel room door, and Art asked me to come in. He said, "What's going on?" I said, "Well, I have a musical question." He said, "Really?" He said, pull up a chair. He was in his bed, in his robe, and pulled up a chair to bed, and I said, Art, I was wondering, what should I play on the bridge of moaning while the horns are soloing? And Art stared me down for a long time. Like he was trying to call my bluff. He just stared at me. But thankfully, it was an innocent question. I really meant it. So I just looked right back at him without wincing. Finally, I guess Art was convinced that I was sincere, and he just smiled. He says, well, he says, how's the melody go there? And I sung it to him. He says, well, play that.